Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Sherrie Gilbert, and I'm the author of the book, Make It Happen, a guide for creating a life you love instead of settling for the one you have. And this is just the book you need if you're at that point in your life or career where you know there's something more out there for you and you just don't have that push to go get it. This is the book for you. My name is Dr. Sherrie Gilbert, and I am a 2008 graduate of Spelman College from Columbus, Georgia, and I'm also an 8-semester Glee clubber. I found out about the Glee Club right before my junior year in high school. I was volunteering at a local historic Black theater in my hometown, the Liberty Theater. And while I was volunteering, we were doing a youth camp, and so a young lady walked in and she had on a Spelman sweatshirt. And I was just so impressed with how she carried herself that I was curious about Spelman. So I went home and plugged up our internet. We had dial-up internet at the time. And so I plugged up the internet, and the first thing I looked up about Spelman was their choir. I wanted to hear what the music sounded like because I had always been in choirs my whole life. So I looked up Spelman College music, found the link to the choir, and it was just a very basic website at that time. But there was one audio clip that was on that site, and I clicked that audio clip, and what I heard gave me chills. They were singing a Negro spiritual, and like I said, there was no video there, but I could visualize them singing. I could visualize what they were singing about. It was so powerful. And that's when I decided that I wanted to be in the Spelman College Glee Club. I actually had my first encounter with the Glee Club during my senior year of high school. So this was after I had listened to the audio clip online. I found out that Spelman College Glee Club and the Morehouse College Glee Club and Tuskegee University's Golden Voices were coming to Columbus to do a combined concert. I think it was for MLK weekend. And this was just like this perfectly manifested. So I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be a part of. And I had an opportunity to see it right there in my hometown. So I actually emailed Dr. Kevin Johnson. I was a senior in high school, and I emailed him coming up to the concert and let him know, hi, Dr. Johnson, my name is Sherrie Gilbert. I'm here in Columbus, Georgia, and I've heard that you all have a concert here coming up in a few weeks. And I was writing to ask if I could audition for the Glee Club. And he said, yes, we'll be here at this time for your audition. You're welcome to audition. So I remember walking back to the audition room, the choir sitting there. One of the members actually ran into me in the hallway. It was Kiara Johnson. And she was the president, I believe, of the Glee Club at that time, or the upcoming president at that time. And so she greeted me. She had the biggest smile on her face. And I just felt immediately welcomed coming into that audition space. I was nervous. I'm in front of all these amazing women who were singing probably on that clip that I heard online the year before, my junior year in high school. But I felt so relieved, and I felt like I was at home. I felt like I was where I was supposed to be. Mind you, I had not been accepted into Spelman yet. So I was just stepping out on faith and stepping out on my genuine desire to be a part of this organization. My first year, I would say the biggest highlight was First Christmas Carol. That was just such a treasure. I never participated in anything like that. And just to see all the people, how the community of Atlanta and from even farther away would come here and spend 3 nights with us. It was so magical. And then after that, there was the MLK. We were performing with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra at the time. So that was always a big deal. And then spring tour, my first year, was, again, I just felt like a celebrity. I'm like, we get to go on tour for a week and everything's taken care of and all we have to do is sing. So it was just like a dream come true. I just couldn't believe it. We went on a West Coast tour my first year, and we went out to California. We went to, I think, Denver, Colorado. And so it opened my eyes to so much because I'd never been that far away. I never seen a lot of the places that we got to see. We went to Santa Monica Pier. just things that you would see on TV. And I'm like, I'm here. So it was just fascinating to get to travel and build those sisterhoods and those friendships with my fellow Glee Club sisters. So coming up to my junior year at Spelman, I was thinking about, as most students do, what's gonna be my next step? What's gonna be my career move? What am I going to do after? I knew that I wanted to do some form of writing and journalism. I wasn't really sure how to get started in that. But again, another manifestation happened when it was announced in the music department that they would be offering the first music journalism course. So I'm like, wow, like how does this happen? So they offered the course, I believe it was during the fall of my junior year. And I got to do two things that I loved. I got to write, and I got to write about music. So this was like the perfect marriage. This was a perfect combination. So we did newsletters. I got to do reporting. I actually had an opportunity to interview Janelle Monáe when she was just getting started. She was at Market Friday, and I just walked up to her and was like, hey, I'm in this music journalism course, and we're doing a newsletter, a project, and I would love to write about you. And I didn't think she would respond or be interested, but she gave me a number to contact her assistant or her manager, and we set it up, and we actually got to interview Janelle Monáe and do a write-up for the music journalism class here. I think before then, the previous semester I had applied for an internship to do entertainment journalism with Upscale magazine owned by Bronner Brothers. And when the fall came, I was rejected. And I was disappointed because I want to do that, but I realized I didn't really have much experience. So this class came at the perfect time. So by the time the end of the semester came with that music journalism course, Upscale reached out to me. I didn't reapply. They reached out to me at the end of that semester and said, hey, I see you applied last year. Would you be interested in interning with us in the spring? And I'm just like, again, these things just keep aligning and happening in my life. And so the next semester, I started my internship with Upscale magazine in the entertainment department. I remember when we got there, when we did our internship orientation, they told us, you're not gonna be running and getting coffee, you're not gonna be picking up dry cleaning, you're going to be writing. And I was like, that's exactly what I wanna do. It was an unpaid internship, but it was the best experience that I had. So I got to sit in on interviews with music producers and artists, and I got to listen to CDs, and I got to listen to music before it even dropped to do a write-up in the magazine. And so that was just super exciting. So I'm just on fire at this point. Again, everything was aligning. The music journalism course came about. My internship with Upscale came about. And that's a national magazine. So I'm just, even though it wasn't paid, again, I felt like I was living out what I was supposed to be doing. And so the next vision that came to me was to highlight our own musicians. Why not highlight musicians in our music department? They're worthy of being recognized and acknowledged for their talents as well. And so that was just like the natural next step for me, was to start this newsletter. I entitled it Rhythm. I got Dr. Kevin Johnson to write the director's note on the first page. I had some other of my sisters from Sigma Alpha Iota, International Music Fraternity for Women. It was actually kind of housed under our organization. But I think it was well received. I remember them posting it on the bulletin board. I remember going back to my internship at Upscale. The first article that I published was a review on Macy Gray's album entitled Big. And it was just a little small write-up, picture and everything of Macy Gray's album. But they put it on that bulletin board, and I'm just thinking nobody's gonna notice this, but people noticed, and I just felt so appreciated that people actually valued something that I valued in writing and writing about music. So when the newsletter came about, Rhythm, it was the same thing. It was put up on the bulletin board. I remember I had to run downtown to get it printed right before Christmas Carol rehearsal one night. And so I got it printed, and I was handing it out during rehearsal. We were sitting in the stands. And so it was definitely well received. And I think it was an excitement for people to see themselves or see their friends, see our sisters highlighted and featured in this way. My whole reason for coming to Spelman was because of the Glee Club. So by the time I reached my senior year, all these things had aligned with my writing and music. I had just done the newsletter. So I'm getting to my senior year and I'm thinking, what's going to be something I can contribute? What can I leave behind? And so coming off of the newsletter, I'm thinking, well, what about something to feature the Spelman College Glee Club? One thing that has always been important to me, even before coming to Spelman, is history. I've always been curious about who people were. Looking at my grandmother's old photo albums, who is this person? Where was this place? Why didn't somebody write this on here? And so I didn't want that history to be lost. And so one day before Glee Club rehearsal, I saw Dr. Johnson in the hallway and was like, hey, Doc, I want to write a book about the Spelman College Glee Club. And so that's when I initially had the idea. And I don't even remember his response at the time. He's probably like rushing me on the rehearsal. But I just remember having that vision. And at the time I was like, yeah, I need to go ahead and write this book because this history needs to be preserved. It's so special. We can't afford to lose it. So we need to preserve it while we can. So after that, life happened. I graduated from Spelman. I worked here at Spelman. I worked as a music librarian in the music department. I actually served on the Spelman College Glee Club board as well my sophomore year as a librarian. So I was offered that position to work during the summer before going off into grad school. I went on to Auburn University to study communication and journalism. And I was still involved in writing, but it wasn't the writing that I was accustomed to. It was more technical writing and writing for events that weren't really related to entertainment and music. And, which is still helpful. It still kind of kept me in the rhythm of writing, but I really missed writing about what I loved. In terms of the book, at that point, it was kind of pushed on the back burner. And I would think about it and I would do research online every once in a while to see, well, what's out there, or maybe something's come about. I think I was trying to back out of it at some point. So I'm like, this is big, like this is too big for me. Maybe this isn't for me. It took up until maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I really seriously took a step again to say, I need to get this done. And I am the person to write this book. So I would say around 2022, I was coming into a place where I had done everything I felt like I could do in my career at that time. And I just felt like something was missing. So I took some steps to figure out what can I do in my life to really live a fulfilling life and not just go to work and not just do the adulting things that I need to do on a day-to-day basis. So I decided that I wanted to write the book about the Spelman College Glee Club. I had a couple of books in mind, but that was the one that I felt like was the first vision that I had, and I needed to see that through. I actually reached out to one of my former English professors, chair of the English department, and just kind of bounced some ideas off of her, and she was really excited, gave me some really great advice. And so I had a little bit more momentum to get back into, okay, I can do this. I need to set a schedule and pattern my days and pattern myself in a way that will allow me to reach this final goal. And after then, I found out about a program that would help new authors to write a book. And it's just this pattern keeps happening in my life where I'm wanting to do something, and then all of a sudden this opportunity comes up that's just perfectly aligned with what I want to do. So I took that as a sign that I needed to jump on this. So I did a query call, I signed up for the program, and I went into the program saying, I'm going to write this book about the Glee Club. I got a book cover designed and everything. And during the process of writing that book, in the format that was presented through the program, I just didn't feel like I wasn't getting a really good fit. So again, I'm like, okay, well, what am I really trying to say? And I think that journey was necessary because I needed to understand myself. I needed to write about my story, my message, and get that out. So I shifted. I actually took a trip to Hawaii and was like, I'm just gonna kind of free my mind and just meditate and figure out what it is I need to say first. And so that's when I came up with my book, Make It Happen, because that was just the theme of my life. No matter what comes your way, you can always change, you can always transition. The subtitle of the book was a guide for creating a life you love instead of settling for the one you have. And that was the place where I was. I'm like, well, I know I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and I'm here, I'm doing fairly well, but there's something else out there. And so I wrote this book, Make It Happen, finished it in 4 months, published it, and got that message out. And I felt like that was a relief. It set me up as an author, and I felt more comfortable with that because when I thought about it, I wanted to be an author before I wrote the Spelman College Glee Club book. And I think that's what that allowed me an opportunity to do, is to identify myself as an author and who I am and what my story is, and then position me to be able to write about someone else's story, in this case, the Spelman College Glee Club. So I had reached out to Dr. Kevin Johnson because I definitely wanted him to have some input. I wanted to hear his ideas. And so what we decided on was to present a book that features essentially a coffee table book. So we have all these pictures, all these memories throughout history to see the journey of this 100 years that we're coming up to. And then also to have some brief excerpts of, a write-up about a section such as Christmas Carol, or a write-up about the directors of the Glee Club. So that's the format for the book at this point. And it's really been exciting. I've been visiting the Spelman College archives, and that has been just a whole journey to go there and to sift through the archives and sift through these boxes of pictures and photos and artifacts from the 30s, the 20s, and it's just been fascinating to go back and see that, and I can visualize it already in the book. So I'm really excited about what we're going to put together for people to have as a memoir. It's something that they can take with them and remember the Glee Club and the legacy of the Glee Club.